All right, everybody, this is the How to Hunt Deer podcast from two experts in the industry who know how to hunt deer.
I like that.
It might like, dude, I've been doing podcasting a long time, right?
Yeah.
And I don't even think I feel like I'm an expert at anything in my life, even podcasting or deer hunting or things like that, because just when I think I'm like on cloud nine or doing something like, oh dude, I own my own business, I'm good at it, and then all of a
Right.
sudden you just get blown out at the knees and you can be humbled very quickly.
Oh, it is so true. That's actually why I was late to the podcast this morning. I'm sitting here scrambling because it's the usual end of the month and I got to invoice everything out and
Yep.
I didn't have time, so I got to kind of adjust my day. We'll do this podcast and I'll do my invoicing after it and then go to work from there. And then, a million different sports activities and everything tonight and the rest of the week. But as far as being a deer expert, I'm gonna go back to just real quick with I was doing food plots and I watched these 5 deer come out of the woods. And you would think after all these years and being able to quote unquote tell people how to hunt, I watched these deer that just watched me on the tractor.
Yeah.
They stood out in the field the whole time I'm wondering, like, what are they doing? Do they not know what I am? Do they not see me coming towards them? And I watch them for a little bit and then finally I can see that it's a bachelor group of like little spikers.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, they're just not very intelligent yet, So there's constantly something that we're learning. It's
Yeah.
not like we can sit here and be an expert at all. I mean,
Yeah.
I like to look at myself as like I'm about average at about most things, and that's good enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had a guy once tell me it's okay to be medium.
Yeah.
It is okay to live in a world of average because you can make decent money there. You can support your family there. You can have good success in the deer woods there. Like you don't have to go after the biggest buck every
No.
single year, right?
No.
You don't have to if you don't want to.
No.
It's a different type of fun. And anyway, you brought up baseball, and man, I don't know what it is like. I'm going to go to last year. I got to talk about my oldest boy for a second. Last year, emotionally fragile, I'll say, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you strike out, maybe you throw a bad inning and the emotions come, and there's still some emotions even today.
Yeah.
But my son is a completely different baseball player this year. Like he attacks the ball when he's in the batter's box. He made some outstanding plays that literally nobody thought he was going to catch the ball because it was drilled. And he did this like full sprint, hand out, like jump thing, and caught a couple really awesome pop flies. He knows what to do when the ball comes to him. And he's like, dude, he's like batting just under 500 for the year, which take this with a grain of salt because at 11U, none of that matters, right?
No.
But what I'm getting at is, like he's kind of I'm seeing him come into himself. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so that's pretty cool to see. It has nothing to do really with sports, but you're starting to see him become who he is, if that which is a weird way to say it, but it's pretty cool to see, man.
Well, it's funny you say that because like our kids are very similar in age. My son, he's 10 and a half, and I've been watching the same roller coaster, and obviously having now 5 girls and a boy, the emotions are different, and the maturity level's different. Beginning of this season, going to last season with my son, if he struck out, dude, it was the end of the world.
Oh, yeah.
It was like the tears, where's mommy type thing, and now it's kind of like he's starting to shift a little bit to where the other night he got done playing. And he worked the pitcher, and he fouled off. He ended up striking out twice.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, it's not the end of the world, and in my mind, I said that. So then after the game, he walks up, he's like, hey, Dad, pitching, did you see that? I struck out 5 batters. And I'm like, that's awesome. Because right away, I saw his mentality changed versus like I gave up 2 runs or I struck out twice or whatever.
Right.
And then we, a lot of Saturdays or Sundays, he wants to play flag football. So he'll get 3 of his sisters or whatever out there, and I'll be the all-time quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And it's normally just a meltdown. Like, oh, I'm the worst. I suck. I can't catch. Whatever. And last night we played for probably 25 minutes before we came in, and it was a different story. So I mean,
Yeah.
maybe it's slowly shifting. Maybe it's an age thing, but I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah. And the cool thing about this is, and maybe you can relate this to hunting a little bit about how things change, or here's what I've learned. Like, I feel like I probably, man, there's no instruction book for parenting, right? There's no instruction book for how to coach individual kids, especially your own. And I have taken a completely different path for my oldest son, or that I did, or for my youngest son that I did for my oldest son. And man, my oldest boy was the guinea pig when it came to sports. Like, oh, dude, we gotta push him, gotta push him. And I'm learning that that's not really what I needed to do in my scenario. And so I'm like, my wife, she gets really concerned about statistics. Like, oh God, he's only batting this, and we need to get him in lessons and shit. I'm like, for my youngest son, I'm like, he is 8 years old. He can't even tie his shoes yet. If he can't do that, then how are we going to, like, how is he going to understand breaking down a batting stance? You just let him go, right? Let them play the game. And then once they start asking questions, and once they can start understanding coaching and things like that, then maybe we can get him some stuff. Because I think I got my son into my oldest son into batting lessons too early, and it confused him about what he was supposed to do. So I'm just letting I'm learning from my mistakes, and I'm letting my youngest boy just play ball, dude.
It's crazy because my wife was just sitting up in the rocking chair feeding our newborn, and we were just having this conversation too. Is like, she had 3 kids, I had 2 kids, and yet we wanted to experience it together. And so you think I'm an expert. You think I've got it figured out. This is a piece of cake, and we're almost a month into this thing, and we're both scratching our heads like, man, she slept 8 hours the night before. Why is it she only slept an hour last night?
Right,
And it's like, what is the problem? Why can't I set her down? And and then you go from like her oldest daughter, who's she every time her and I talk, it's whatever,
Yeah.
It's crazy because like I came down this morning, it got on here, and I got this long letter from my stepdaughter that
Oh yeah.
I had to do this intro for a couple weeks ago. And it's just funny because like they all take their personalities, but I think it's literally that I've been saying it for a while, like that 10 years old, they start to like crest out a little bit, and then they start to find their own, they're not so argumentative, and not everything's the end of the world. And it's a maturity thing for sure, but it's crazy.
Yep. All right. So as my dump truck, every Monday we get trash. Can you hear that?
Same thing, but mine's like up and away. So
but can you hear?
I can. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So that is my garbage truck coming through and picking up our trash. And dude, this is crazy. We have a bin for recycling, and we have a bin for trash, and they put it in the same car or in the same thing.
Well, they like to make you think that you're doing a good cause,
right?
Oh,
yeah. Yeah. Also, by the way, this is a crazy statistic. I ended up going on a field trip with my youngest son to the recycling center and to the dump. And then they took us out there. They show us where all the trash goes and the recycling goes. The guy was like, about 80% of all the recycling gets thrown in the trash anyway.
Yep.
Because they send it through this machine that kicks out anything that has stains or oils, or like cardboard pretty much has to be perfect. Yeah. So like 0 pizza boxes get recycled. Right. Things like that. And I'm just like, wowzers.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's stupid.
Yeah. It's the way of the world, man.
It is. All right. Huge shout out to our partner at Code Blue Sense. This next discount code is only going to be available for one more month. So please take advantage of it. Go to codebluesense.com. Take a look at their real and synthetic deer urines. Take a look at their scent elimination product. Take a look at their rope and oak mock scrape kit, which we are huge fans of. So codebluesense.com, discount code HTH20 for 20% off, and take advantage of that. So, all right. What'd you do this weekend? Because I'll be honest, man, I didn't do anything deer related. We had 2 baseball tournaments. I coached one of them, and then we also had dance recital weekend. So I didn't even think about deer hunting this weekend.
I did. I actually a little bit last week too. I made a little bit of time to get out here at home, and I wanted to knock some stuff down. And there were some trees down, so I cleared one of my food plots off. And while I was down there, I freshened up a scrape, and I ended up. I was going to show you this picture I got. I haven't planted this food plot yet, but what does that look like to you? So that's obviously a doe.
Yeah. It looks like she doesn't have any back legs.
Doesn't it look like she just like fell or collapsed or something?
Or it's like she's sitting down like a dog would sit.
It's not how she would give birth, is it?
I don't know. I mean, I thought 4-legged animals like this, like I've watched horses give birth.
Yeah.
But they're not like, I mean, they're kind of like a deer, but they give birth standing up.
Yeah. It was just the
weirdest. For the most part. Then they lay down sometimes, but.
It's the weirdest picture. It's the only picture I got, and that got sent to me. And I mean, I could do the video part of it, but I think the video would be too far, and there was nothing after that. But she's the one resident doe that I basically been seeing down here for quite a while, and I thought maybe she'd be dropping her fawn soon because I haven't seen a fawn down there yet. And fast forward to now, that was a couple days ago. I haven't seen the fawn yet, so I don't think she was having her, but so I worked on food plots, and I put up 1, 2, 3, 4 mock scrapes, and worked on them a little bit.
How far apart were they?
The scrapes?
Yeah.
So I only did one, freshened up one here at home, but there's 2 down there. And then at our property, about 15 minutes away from here, I think I did 1, 2, 3, and they were on average, I'd say 100 to 150 yards apart.
Okay.
The furthest could be pushing that from start to finish, probably 500 yards.
Okay. All right. So when you put those up, did you have any strategy in like them trying to hit a line, or did you put them in based off terrain? Why did you put them where you put them?
Okay, so the first one that I did is basically our access lane that we had to buy to get in there runs along the edge of a block of timber. And it's kind of a high point as far as the timber and our property. And out in front of our property is all tillable. There's like 40 some acres of tillable. Well, where the deer come out of the woods for years, I mean, for probably 13, 14 years that we've had that property, the deer would come out, and especially the bucks, they would like stop at the edge of the woods, and then they would come out into this little, I mean, maybe 10 feet from the fence line, and they would hit this scrape underneath this tree. There's a big overhanging branch and stuff. And over the years, the branches have just broke off, to where there's not much hanging down anymore. So I thought that'd be a good spot because the scrape always opens up into like a car hood size scrape. It's a big scrape, and they could see everything clear across this field and then down into our food plots and down into our timber and the creek bottom and stuff. So that's the first one. The next one, it kind of dumps into like what I would call like it's like almost like a thermal hub, and it sits on the south side of it, and it's on like a little bit of a ridge, and they always like circle down and around and come back up, and they've hit this scrape, I don't know, gosh, same thing, probably at least 10 years that I know of. And so those 2 scrapes are closer. They're probably within that 80-yard distance of each other. But then if you go to the last scrape that I hit, it's at the bottom of a creek bank it's kind of like oak flat down in there, some big old mature oak trees. and there's just this crossing in the creek where they dip down to cross, and then when they pop back up, there's like an opening where they can see straight east, and then they can see um, straight south. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like a staging area right in there, and they always hit trees back in there. So we've hung scrapes or ropes in there for several years too, and had good luck with that.
Okay. And is the goal to get them on camera with those, or is the goal to have a shot to those mock scrapes?
All of those specifically are just to get them on camera.
Okay.
I would say that primarily with them though, they're they're not out of it's not out of question to get a shot going or coming from those
Yeah.
scrapes.
Gotcha.
Because there are stands that are, I wouldn't say necessarily within shooting distance, but they're within travel.
Gotcha.
And then I tried something different in one of our, so I like 3 different food plots to put in, which was a lot to do by hand. My brother had done a bunch on Tuesday, and so I just told him, hey, leave half of it, I'll do it. Well, it's gotten so extremely dry here that I was able to take part of Friday off and do that. Well, when I did this in front of our box blind, he said, I want to change the shooting angles and stuff of it, and I want to plant something lower in front of it. So he planted corn off to it'd be the north and northeast, and then I planted beans basically in, around, and in front of the box blind. So then at the corner of this little bean field that I put in, there it meets a trail, and it meets a waterway, and it meets a neighbor's field. So I buried a cedar post, and then I took one of Code Blue's brackets, and then I took an oak branch and stuffed in there and made a mock scrape kind of at the point of this. And my thought with it was, it sits at the bottom of all of the properties, like the lowest point there, and they can visualize it from north to south and south to north, all up and down the trail. So it's like a monument or a landmark, So
Right.
I'm hoping that works, because it's within shooting distance of the box blind for the kids.
Okay. Okay.
So
And how much do you think putting a mock scrape up right now keeps deer in the area? Do you think do you think a mock scrape helps hold deer?
the deer
And
to me, deer are curious.
yeah.
So I think, if there's anything about it, they're always going to be curious checking it. Like,
Right.
hey, what's that? Hey, what's that? And I
Right.
think that's what got me about that little bachelor group of bucks I saw, was they weren't so threatened by me. They were more curious, like, what is that? What's he doing? Type thing. So I think it does help, but I don't know that you can go out and necessarily doctor it up right now and then hopes for November that it's drawing that same buck back in.
Yeah. Yeah. I just feel, I was kind of curious of what your thoughts were. Like, do you think a buck is making it a point to come to these mock scrapes right now, or they're staying closer because of the mock scrapes? I don't necessarily think so.
I don't think so, but I do think there's something with, they're social, they're curious, and I think there's something that, they will hit them, they will go through them. I mean, they might not, tear up a tree or anything like that, 'cause especially
Right.
when they got velvet, but it's nothing to say that they maybe won't rub their forehead, their glands on something and leave a little scent behind, or pee in the scrape. I don't know that it's used is some people maybe think it does,
Yeah.
but I definitely think there's something to it.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
it's like, I don't even know what the analogy would be. It'd be like, I like golf, but I don't golf. But hey, there's a golf club for sale. I'm gonna pick it up and I'm gonna look at it. I don't know. Does that make sense?
No.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I missed that one.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the analogy be. Oh, okay. So like, so we hunt. We're into archery and whatever, and everybody always talks about the latest and greatest bows or whatever,
Right.
So it's like picking up your buddy's bow and just checking it out.
Right.
To me, it's kind of like maybe like that.
Yeah. Gotcha.
They see something new sitting out there, they might investigate a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. What about so you did some planting, Do you plant screen at all to like block access routes, or leave a couple rows of corn up to block like views from a road so people can't see into your property?
So you can't see our property from a road, so that's
Okay,
already like that's a win for us. But what the detriment to that point is we have to come up over and then drop down, and so like we're visible
gotcha,
for most of our access unless we're using a field edge or a
gotcha.
you know, fence line. Um, but we'll leave like rows of corn. I mean, all of our corn stands until basically this time every year, and then we
Right.
mow it down and get rid of it, disc it. But the way we planted it this year, I think we've planted it probably better than we have in years past. We used to just do as much as we could as fast as we could and put
Yep.
blocks of food. And now this year was kind of strategic with leaving like interior was lower and exterior was higher. And then the way we funneled out from there, the exterior was higher too. So
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. So at least you are able to get in and get the kids to that box blind you were talking about. And the way you planted it, it seems like the deer are going to be comfortable in there once they step out into the bean field.
yeah, I think so. And
Yeah.
so I did like a layering system to mine. So where I planted, my high point was like corn, field, just regular field corn. And then I did sorghum, and then I
Hmm.
dropped down to like bean height. And then at the far north end, we have what we'll put in August, and that'll be like a green food plot. So
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Um, Anything else from I guess, a habitat management standpoint that you did this weekend, and maybe why you did it?
well, there's always more trees down, limbs down than you anticipate. So there's
Yeah.
always that's to contend with and clean up. And it's good to do that stuff now, get it
Yeah.
out of the way, push it out of the way. But one thing I like to do a couple times through the year is just mow our trail system and
Hmm.
get it as debris and clean as we can, because it just saves that much work for season. You know, as
Yeah.
far as access goes, you don't want a bunch of twigs all over your lanes and stuff.
Yeah. Okay. And then okay. So you did a little bit of the like basically junk removal. Pick
Pretty
it.
much,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Do you do you mow, like, do you let your grass grow up, or do you mow like paths and access routes throughout the summertime?
So we have a trail system basically throughout it, and we try to maintain it to, you know, no more than like 8 inches at a time.
Yeah.
And that way we can go through and like I say, keep it as debris free as we can, because it just helps our access. You know, come fall, obviously we try to stay out of the property as much as we can,
Hmm.
and then and getting closer to season, we don't want to be mowing, you know, like the day before. You know, we don't want to be mowing at the end of September if we don't have to.
Right. Right. And then like, what about now? Like, within the past month, we've had fawns dropping. We have, and so they're probably getting close to
Yeah,
being done dropping fawns. I mean, hell, they could drop in. I've seen some very small fawns in August,
yeah.
which tells you, they hit the back end of the rut. But do you ever like try to stay out of an area during fawning season to, like, not mow and not kick them up, or not disturb the does while they're pregnant or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean there's areas that we definitely try to, but then there's obviously areas where we're going to be putting food plots in
Yeah.
that we have to be in. And so it's almost easier if we go in a couple months ago and mow it once, then it's
Right.
shorter, and then by now when we're planning or whatever, we can go back in and mow again, and you can spot them very very well that
Yeah.
way. I've done it the other way too, where I've had a fawn sneak up on me, you know, and I haven't hit any, you know, thank God, but um, it can be done because they just curl up in a ball and they'll lay in that tall grass.
Yeah. My father-in-law sent me a picture of a fawn. Like, he's retired, and he has a camper up in northeast Iowa, and so it's a campground essentially. And in this, to get to this campground, there's like this gravel 2-track that you have to go down in, and there was a fawn right on the side of the road, like right on the side of this 2-track. I mean, not in any grass, just laying down, and they took a look and like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
There's a lot of moms in the area, so I'm guessing that across, like we saw deer across the road all the time. So I don't know. Maybe they got split up by someone walking their dog or something like that, and then the fawn just dropped and the mom took off or something like that. So
Yeah. What are any upcoming plans for you as far as tree stands or anything like that?
I think I'm like, I don't want to play the poison ivy mosquito game right now. Um, I do have trail cameras that I'm going to put out. I'm going to do some mineral, and I'm going to do that in the next couple weeks. All like we're in a gap right now where we have wrestling and baseball on the weekdays now for about 2 weeks, 3 weeks maybe. I do have to take my daughter to Indiana for a wrestling tournament. Not next week, but the week after. The second week in June, and the second full week in June. But other than that, I got a gap here where it's just weekday baseball and weekday wrestling, right? Dance is over. And by the way, dance is over now, potentially forever. Like, I don't think she wants to go back to dance. She wants to focus on wrestling. And my heart smiled when I heard that. I know it listen, I know it made her happy. I know she had fun doing it, but when she said, "Yeah, I think I'm just kind of getting too old for it," and the company is changing and merging with another company and things like that, and it's going to be different. And my daughter's just like, I'm done. So, which for me is awesome, because I would rather go to a wrestling tournament than a dance recital,
Right.
or spend the money for wrestling than, now we're only doing one instead of two. So, plus I think as a 13-year-old, you're at an age where you can maybe start focusing on a specific sport. And so that's a very long way of saying that my time now is less complicated right now. So I think I'm going to have some time on the weekends to get some of my deer chores done within the next week. And my main focus will be putting out mineral stations, hanging some trail cameras to get, basically what I'm going to do is I might, the properties that I hunt, there's one that it's like trail cameras are not an issue, but the other property, like I don't want to go into the property in October and set a trail camera and keep it up and running all summer long, and then have to go in there. Like I don't want to have to go invade this bedding area. So I think what I'm going to do is in June or July at some point, I'm going to put a trail camera back in there facing a certain direction, and then suspend it, and then have it on, like, I don't know, like you can have it off, but then you can turn it on remotely now. And so I think what I'm going to do is put it in there, put it on hold, and then maybe like late September, turn it on, or October 1st, opening day, turn it on, and then see what's happening there. And that's going to allow me to have less of an impact on my property, kind of knowing what's going on there. And so I don't know, just
trail cameras
trying to get ready.
I was just gonna say, trail cameras can be so difficult this time of year, because it's one of those things where you're trying to kind of inventory what's around and what's back, just like seeing antler growth, seeing how many fawns are there. But the spots that you would want to put these cameras in, it's like a lot of times you end up contending with so much grass, so much green up that you just get false triggers and all sorts of stuff with that. So I don't know. I do have 3 cell cameras out now. I did end up doing that, but I put them on more or less, like some of these trails that I mowed the other day. Same here at home. And then on my other property, I put it on like an edge of a bean field to where I know I have a growth period where I'm going to have to move that camera at some point because
Mm-hmm.
the beans are going to take over. But uh,
Yep.
I just want to see what's there. That's
Right.
my only purpose is right now. I'm not trying to dial in on their patterns or movement or what's going to come and stay because it all changes anyhow.
Yeah. Yeah. I also, when I'm doing my mineral sites, it's a whole ordeal, especially if you're trying to get summer pictures. Like you got to trim back branches. And by the way, if you put a trail camera out on, let's say, under a big tree, this is a little tip that I've had to learn the hard way. When those leaves come out on trees, those branches will sag down.
Yep.
And you're it's just leaves, right? It doesn't make sense. But I have these big oak tree branches that have thousands of pounds of leaves, I would assume, on
Yep.
them, and that branch sags down. And in the past, if I was doing a mineral site during turkey season, and while I'm trying to be as efficient with my time, I come back out there to switch the batteries out in July or August, and that branch is down in front. The weeds have grown up. So for me now, I wait for green up to happen, and then I go in with a weed eater. With a weed eater, I also bring a grass killer or weed killer that just torches everything, so it doesn't necessarily grow up around the mineral site. Because there's nothing that pisses me off more than seeing a little piece of grass start to grow up, and the next thing you know, all this grass is in front of your trail camera. It burns through your batteries, and you're just getting pictures of grass essentially. And so
Yeah.
I've taken the stance where I've just torched torched the area, trimmed the branches, made a big, almost like a shooting lane for my trail camera. Also, a weed eater, man, on your mock scrapes. I don't know how you do it, but I bring a weed eater, and that's how I kill the grass, and that's how I make the actual scrape. And then I will just hit the dirt with that weed eater over and over and over, and to make it so it doesn't necessarily grow back as much. Or and then I'll hang the rope right over top of it and then maybe I put a little, I don't know, put some scent or grave digger or whatever it's called in this to get the scent in the scrape. But I take a weed eater and I just go to bare dirt, about, I don't know, your trash can lid size or something
Yep.
like that. And it's worked in the past, dude. It's worked in the past.
That's generally how I open them all up because I want to get the vegetation down and around it. But then I'll, like you say, about trash can size, and then I'll just burn it down to nothing. But then I take a little garden hand rake, like 16 inches long or whatever, and it's got like 3 metal tines on it, and that's what I use as to open it up and kind of almost mimic what a claw would look, or their hoof would look like in there.
Right.
And then especially if you're going to do like something with the grave digger, you actually want to dig like somewhat of a hole. So I just keep a handful of stuff in a bag, and that's my trail camera setup and my scrape setup all in one shot. So
yeah. Hey, check this out. I had a guy, I made a post last year about nothing hitting my mock scrape until we had it was dry for a month last year. And then something happened where there was a big rain event. The ground got soaked, everything got wet, and then the deer started showing up on the mock scrape. This guy out of nowhere, Instagram, sent me a message, and he said, every once in a while, if my mock scrapes start to slow down and I'm not getting the deer, activity, he said he takes a bag of ice out and he dumps a bag of ice on the mock scrape, and that pulls deer into his mock scrapes. And I was like, what? Because I said it must be the moisture that refreshes everything and gets some scent in the air or something like that. And he's like, yeah. She's like, hey man, you're right. It has to do with moisture. And when I don't start, when I'm not seeing deer on my mock scrapes, I'll put a bag of ice on them. And when that melts, scent comes in the air, and he's like, you would be surprised how many deer show up.
That's
So I'm
crazy.
like, that's weird, man. That's a weird thing that makes sense though.
Well, it makes 100% sense because I've always noticed after rain, that's when the
Yeah.
scrapes get freshened up,
Yeah.
So, I mean, to me, I guess it's just odd to think that you could isolate it to one little garbage
Yeah.
can size of
Yeah.
moisture versus like everything in around its area getting moisture too.
I don't
Huh.
know. I
Yeah,
don't know.
might have to try it because
So,
we are extremely dry here.
right. Yep. We got a little bit of sprinkling of rain this weekend to like knock down the dust on the baseball diamonds, but we definitely need more of it. So that's something crazy I've heard. You want to hear another crazy? There's this. Okay, so back in the day, I would go to the Iowa Deer Classic, and this was before cell phones. Well, people had cell phones, but you couldn't share pictures like you do now. You pull up your phone and say, "Hey, take a look at this."
Yeah.
Um, we had a guy, like I don't know how this interaction happened, but he was like, everybody used to carry their printed pictures of all the deer that they've killed over the years in the 90s or whatever, the early 2000s. And then they would go and uh, they'd print off their pictures and they'd put them in a little like picture book, and then they'd hand them out and people would go look through them. Anyway, I'm sitting there and I'm talking, I'm sharing my pictures, this guy's sharing his pictures, and for some reason, the scent elimination conversation came up, and I was talking about, I was like, nah, that don't work. I'm like, oh yeah, what's your strategy? He goes, I don't eat meat.
Oh,
Did I tell you that?
I think I've heard that. I heard this on one of your other podcasts. Yeah.
This guy told me I do not eat meat before the hunting season or during the hunting season. And I'm like, that's crazy. Why? And he's like, well, if you eat meat, you're a predator.
Right.
If you don't eat meat, then you're, I don't know, essentially something else. And I'm just like, okay. And I was like, well, what do you like? Why? And he's like, because you smell different. If you only eat plants and vegetables and fruits, you don't smell, your body doesn't shed skin, you don't breathe it coming out of your stomach, you're not a threat. And I'm like, how do you know that? And he's just like, dude, I just one day said, well, if I eat meat, I'm a predator, and if not, I'm just essentially like a turkey or a raccoon, or I don't even know, like whatever animal only eats, like you're just another cow or something like that out there. And so I've never done that, but this guy told me, dude, I couldn't walk in the woods, and even if they get downwind of me, I'm not a threat. But he's like, it takes 30 days of not eating meat for your body to kick out the smell of a vegetarian animal or whatever they call those, a herbivore or whatever, or I don't know, like
okay, so I like deer hunting.
Yeah.
I that's great and everything, but if you're gonna tell me that I can't eat meat for 4.5 months or whatever, dude, I'm probably gonna hang up deer hunting.
I like deer hunting, but I don't like it that much.
Nope.
I like steaks, dude.
Yep.
That's funny.
I don't know. I mean, there's probably something to it, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like anything, I've always thought like garlic is a bad one for me. Like if I eat garlic, dude, I'm gassy, and I feel like you take that to the woods and they're not going to be downwind of you for sure. So I don't know. Maybe I don't know that they could identify necessarily that you had a ribeye on Tuesday and all that, but I do feel like they can probably smell something of some sort because it seeps through your pores.
Yeah. Don't know.
Yeah.
So maybe if there's anybody out there who wants to give it a try, I'm not going to do it. You're not going to do it.
No.
If there's any vegetarians out there who get busted less, let me know. I mean, why are you hunting if you're a vegetarian? Well, do you think there's any vegetarians out there who hunt? I'm sure there
Well,
is.
I mean, yeah, because you have trophy hunters, and
Yeah.
not everybody consumes the meat. But my question would be like, so you're out there hunting, but you haven't consumed meat for 4.5 months. What do you do for the other 7.5 months of the year? Do you just like 7 days a week fill up your belly with meat?
I don't know. That's a conversation I'm not prepared to discuss because I have no idea what these people are thinking about. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know.
I don't
I don't
know.
know.
That's crazy, but I mean, like I said, I think there might be something to it.
Yeah.
Probably something. It's
If
it's the whole. I mean, just think about this too.
yeah.
It's scent elimination. It's cover scents. It's all the stuff. There's guys that well, you and I both with ozonics and
Mm-hmm.
everything. The more you put in the air, let's just think about this. The more you put in the air, the more alert they're going to be.
Yeah.
So if there's a process of eliminating some of that, maybe you're better off.
Yeah.
Because you could always throw that double-edged sword when we were just talking about wetting a scrape. Well,
Mm-hmm.
what if you wet your clothes down, which is theoretically what you're doing when you're spraying down?
I don't know, dude. I don't
I,
know.
yeah.
I
Hey,
like scent elimination products. Don't get me wrong, but I just feel like, man, and I know our partner is Code Blue Scents, but
right.
but reality is like I love this. I can get behind synthetic, like real and synthetic deer urines. I can get
Yes.
behind that. I can get behind a mock scrape. I can get behind laundry detergents.
Yep.
And all that stuff. But field sprays, I don't know, man. Like I can see it like pre and post hunt, like if you're grabbing a gas station cheeseburger and you're eating it and the mustard and ketchup comes out of it and lands on your shirt and you smell like mustard and ketchup. I don't know. But as we all know, a majority of the scent that deer are smelling is coming out of your mouth and nose.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yep.
I wonder if there's like any research projects out there of how human. Okay, so I was curious about this several years ago, and I reached out to the University of Iowa, like in their medical department, about not how humans smell with their nose, but what determines a person's smell, like how a person smells.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy was intrigued, but he didn't have time to have the conversation. And so I should follow up on that to see what I could, because that would be crazy. Like if he's like, yeah, dude, if you eat vegetables, you don't smell. If you eat meat, you smell. I don't know. Maybe that's in the scientific community what they call a no-brainer.
Oh, well, I remember years ago after I graduated high school, one of my buddies from high school came over and he said, the first thing he said when he walked in the house was, "Smells like a Thibodeau house." And it kind of got me like, what's that mean?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, as a kid, we grew up with a wood stove, but as an adult, I've never had a wood stove. So there wasn't that correlation. It has to be something with your body and genetically, like what you guys smell like.
Yeah.
Maybe it's food you eat. Maybe it's the soap that you use to wash. I don't know.
Yeah. Here's what our house smells like, if I had to guess, like poop. And here's why. Because my youngest boy is really good at taking dumps and then not flushing the toilet. Right. And also, I have these conversations with him all the time, and I'm just like, hey, buddy, can you come here a second? I go, what's that? Oh, I took a poop. I go, there's no toilet paper in it.
Oh.
He's like, okay, yeah. And I'm like, the sink here is also dry. So did you wipe or wash your hands after this? Well, I guess if you don't wipe, you don't necessarily need to wash your hands per se. But I'm just like, hey, buddy, maybe you got to start doing a better job at this. Okay, Dad. And then he goes outside and plays. And I'm just like, flush and then walk away. Like
yeah.
But
That's the beauty of having kids, and they're and they're all different.
Right.
They all poop different. They all wash their hands different. They all everything. Yeah, it's crazy, but
absolutely.
I do think there is something with that scent thing, but I don't know how much I'd put into that myself.
Yeah.
Like I'm there to get the meat, so I'm just gonna eat it while I'm hunting, I guess.
Yep.
I mean,
Absolutely.
how many times have you gone to a tree stand and you're eating snack sticks while you're hunting?
Oh yeah. Yep. Dude, my uncle, if for some reason he's one of those guys who he has big deer figured out. And I don't know if it's blind luck or if he actually knows. Like, I don't know. I've never really sat down and had that conversation with him, but he knows where big deer show up at certain times of the year, and he gets the job done on them all the time. And that dude smokes cigarettes in the tree stand, right? And he's not into all the scent elimination shit. He's not into the camo. Like, he wears camo, but or some flannels and stuff, but they know it's like stuff from a long time ago, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like, every time you sit here and you have these conversations about strategy and shit, I know guys like my uncle. My uncle has killed a 200 incher. My uncle last year killed a 180, 182, like 6-year-old, 7-year-old buck, just a smoker. And here I come into the woods looking like some kind of catalog, and I have all these things, shit that I do. Not as much anymore as what I used to. And then he's like, "What are you doing with that?" And I'm like, just, hunting. He's like, "Oh, you don't need that." Yeah. And when a guy who's really good at killing big bucks tells you don't need it, maybe I should listen to him. I don't know. But this is also how I make my money, so I don't want to burn.
No, but I mean, it's like, go back a week or two ago when we first started talking about this public land adventure that I'm gonna have. It's like, part of me is like, just leave all the stuff at home. Right. Just walk in the woods. I don't want to say aimlessly, because if with a little bit of woodsmanship, you know what you're looking for and you know where to go. It's that sixth sense, but I don't know. To me, I've I don't want to say simplified things a little bit, but like, less is more. And my wife keeps telling me that, like, I could really purge a bunch of hunting stuff and be just fine.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. You're spot on with that purge word. And that's a topic for another day. I want to send a huge shout out to Code Blue Sense. I want to send a huge shout out to Jason. If all of you for tuning in every week, listening along, if you're an avid listener or if you just pop in every so often, thank you very much. Do us a huge favor. And this would actually help us out. Go to Spotify, Apple Podcast, wherever you download your How to Hunt Deer episodes every week. Subscribe to it and also leave a 5-star comment for us. I would really appreciate that. You can find this on YouTube as well. So go subscribe to that. Do all, like we watch with the kids, it's like, smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, do it. And I'm just like, God, those guys sound like a douche. But they are driving like Lamborghinis and shit like that. So maybe I should say, smash that like button and subscribe button and leave a comment. And so do it, whatever. If you don't. I don't care.
I'm kind of speechless on it. So
yeah. All right, Jason, we'll talk to you next week. All of you guys, thanks for listening. Be safe out there, and we'll talk to you next week.